You may have seen the title of this video and said camera people. Do you mean camera operators, maybe? I don't just limit it to camera operators, nor do I limit it to just camera operators and first ACs. You know, the members of the big four that are found on set. Nor do I limit it to members of Local 600, the camera union. I also include with it people that move the camera through physical space, like Dolly Grips and SuperTechno crane operators. The reason why is because all of those guys you need to know how to work with. That's one of the reasons why I felt this video is extremely important to discuss. Now, we're going to start off with the camera operator, of course, but you could be on a set very easily with 14, 15 more people on the camera team and just you being by yourself. They are representing the sound world on set. Now, that's not meaning that you have to have like 6 cameras and that kind of thing. You could also have a dedicated SuperTechno crane, maybe spider cam people. Maybe you're going to have a giraffe crane there. You might have just Steadicam, a dedicated Steadicam operator. You might have a whole bunch of people, not including the DP and the DIT, those guys. You're going to have a lot of people there on set. And usually the more people there are as part of the camera team, the less they're going to be willing to discuss all the little sound things because it's usually a very expensive day at that point. The bigger the camera team is, the more expensive of the day it's going to be. So if you try to nitpick every little bitty thing or that kind of thing, they might have a problem with it. Now, let me get into this here. Camera operators, you obviously need to be on good terms with because those are the people that are operating right there. I've been on sets before where people have gone handheld and they don't care if, actors are only 4 feet in front of the camera. They have not cared if I'm walking in the hall in front of their camera on the side. Between, no less, the camera's here, actors are there, and I've been right there on the side. And they have not cared that I'm in front of the lens because they trust me that much. I've also been on sets before where the camera operator doesn't want to have anything to do with me and will say, just stay behind me, get up on a ladder, stay away from me. Camera operators, you usually have to earn rapport with unless they happen to be cool and just recognize you off the court, off of another show. Maybe they just happen to see that you are very comfortable on set. Maybe they'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes, though, a boom operator, especially a green one, has to establish themselves. And that doesn't mean being submissive. That means you have to establish yourself as still having a job to do, but you're also going to respect what they do as well. Camera operators have a lot of stuff going on after all. And one of the things that's very important is for you to not chatter and talk nonstop on set while they're trying to set their shot. Because what normally comes up right after rehearsal is you'll have a DP talking to the director of photography. You'll have them talking to the director about the shots. Usually then the DP will directly relate this to, if not just the A camera operator, the entire camera operator team. And it's a good idea to listen in on that. That way you get the information too, and you don't have to ask them to fill you in on everything because you weren't paying attention for whatever reason. It's also a good idea when you're there on set to let them do their job, set their shots, work things out, and then ask them questions. Now, you may have a good rapport with them enough that way if for example, they're sitting on set and they're saying, okay, we're going to start over here, and then we're going to need some dolly track through here, so let's go ahead and lay that. And while they're bringing out the track or the dance floor or whatever they're doing, you can maybe say, hey, real quick here, do you anticipate seeing over there? So if I were to put an antenna right over there, would you see it? Probably not. Sometimes they'll say, let me get the shot set. And then my point here is, with regards to camera operators, you don't want to keep them from doing their job and distract them. So when a camera operator is up on the camera and operating, let them set their shot and figure it out, and then ask questions. Now, you may say, I don't want to bother the camera operator. I have a nice little, monitor here, or I have a monitor on my cell phone, or I am going to be told by my sound mixer what the shot is. I can also see the monitor, and they're not going to be looking over here or over there. I understand tech is nice. It helps you to crush the frame. It helps you to do your job. But don't let that get in the way of you actually communicating with the operator. Not just because you have to, because you're on set there, but one of the things I joke about on set is I say, do guns kill people or do people kill people? No, I'm sorry. I don't mean you to answer that. What I mean is, do cameras shoot people or does the camera operator shoot people? And I make light of it, and sometimes I'll be like, wait a minute, what do you, let's not get into politics. Okay, well, yes, I don't mean to get into politics. I'm joking. But what I mean by that is you may have a shot that is set up on the monitors because the DP is using it to light. And I've been on shows before where the camera operator has set the frame and then said, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and go wide or zoom in, and that way we can get our focus marks. And it's not framed up for the shot. So you need to find out what the shot is, because if they've already set their shot and they know what they're doing, and it's just wide for lighting, and you expect it to be a wide shot, you may get in there and start dropping 15 plants in. You may be thinking you can't get carpets in. You may be thinking a bunch of things that's wrong. So one of the things I'll usually do is I'll let a camera operator kind of figure out what their shot's going to be, and then I'll go over and say, hey, real quick, do you expect to be here? You're going to be over here? Are you going to be sitting down with them? Are you letting them leave your frame? Are you going to go with them as they walk out? Are you going to bring them in? I'll ask all the questions that I feel is necessary at that point, because the operator knows what they're planning on doing. Now, they may say, I don't know, I'm just going to feel it out. And I don't know until after the first shot. Or they are on a walkie with the DP, and the DP could change the shot midway, in which case I'll try to get any information I possibly can while watching what they do on the fly. And I'll also mention it to the sound mixer, so that way the sound mixer will help keep me honest. But camera operators have a lot of things going on. They're going to be watching the entire shot and trying to figure out what not only goes into the shot to make it interesting, but what should not be in that shot. That relies a little bit on the boom operator to help out with. It's very important for a boom operator, as you know, not to cast a shadow into the frame. I've said many times that you can cross a light with a boom if it's soft enough. And basically the rule of thumb is if it doesn't change the light level and you don't see a shadow on the shot or anything in the shot, person, background, prop, whatever, then you're probably good. Sometimes lights are really, really soft. Sometimes they're really, really hard. You have to cut them. Whatever the case may be, you do not want to shadow into the frame. And if you do, I highly recommend that you call yourself out on that as soon as they cut to the operator, if they didn't see it. Even if they did see it. The reason why is because it establishes very early on that you care about them enough to call yourself out when you're wrong. They're going to trust you more, and they're going to have your back too. I've been on shows before where it's been like 2 or 3 days because I played a little bit on the easy side until I get the flow of the set. It's a fast-paced show, and I may say I'm going to play a couple more inches of air than I normally would, just until I get a sense of what's going on here. And the camera operators, movements and that kind of thing. Because some operators are very consistent. They will nail every single mark every single time the exact same way. And I've also worked with camera operators that will do the exact same thing and then take 3 or take 2, take 4, whatever the case may be. They'll mess up and they'll decide for whatever reason to swing up into the boom. Maybe they'll look like they're reframing or they're trying to do something interesting. And suddenly they'll tilt up higher than they actually should to reveal the boom. And then they'll say, oh, we can't use that part of the shot because the boom was in the frame. I've been on a show where there was a camera operator that would tilt up to reveal the boom when they screwed up. So I have been in situations before where a camera has been following somebody in, and right after they land, I might be moving into a position or bouncing over a light or something like that, and I have cast a shadow in the background. I will try, if I have to do it not on-camera dialogue or something along those lines, but I will point it out to the operator. And I've had operators before that will say, there? No, I'm not worried about that. And I've had other operators that say, okay, well, thanks for telling me. And then they'll call it out to the DP. Now, I've also been on shows before where the camera operator will be too busy, and I've gone and run and told the DP, who's probably on set by that point, and say, hey, real quick, just so you know at the beginning there. And they'll also appreciate that because they're like, you're watching out for their shot as well. The same thing goes not just with regards to shadows, but it also goes with reflections. One of the big things I'm a stickler for is making sure that you see no presence of me on camera. I don't want to be in a reflection either. And you're going to have a reflection on the edge of a lamp. You're going to have it on the side of a car. You're going to have it in a window. You're going to have it in the edge of a chrome refrigerator. You're going to have it in a bunch of different surfaces on your set. And I do mean your set because it's yours too. And one of the things I always say, and I'm an advocate for, is asking an operator to double check something for you. Because it's better to do beforehand than it is to get called out in the middle of a scene. Not just because they're going to say, oh, God, we got to go again. Camera boom operator was in the camera or something like that. No, not just that. It's also one of those things that takes a fraction of a second just to say, hey, real quick, could you do me a favor and check and tell me, do you see me in that reflection right there? If you show them early that you care about the things like reflections, little ones, even if you don't think there's a chance in the world that it's going to show up, make sure that you mention it and ask about it. Even if you're pretty confident that it's not going to, because it's even better if it's not an issue, but at least it shows that you're aware of it. That's going to also help you establish your way on set as a boom operator. And if you show a camera operator early that you care that much about what they do to actually not put yourself into their frame and disrupt it, they'll probably have your back too. I've been on shows before. Actually, a year and a half ago, I'll tell you this story real quick. We had a director that did not like to cut for anything. Once he got the actors on set, he was like, roll, let's go again, do that line again. And then the actors would say it. He's like, do it again. And then they would say it again. And he'd say, do it again. And he would just keep on going. And sometimes and the actors would be like, geez, I'm trying to act here. And he did not ever want to cut. Well, we had a circumstance where there was an actor who was getting in a bathtub. And so we couldn't get a lav mic on him. And because there was a wide shot going on at the same time, and they spent a long time setting the shot up. When they said, real quick, zoom in, and I was on a ladder over the top of that camera, there was no way I could get down. But as soon as they said, all right, zoom in, I was quickly trying to get off that ladder. And I needed a moment. But because this director would not stop for a second, I said, hold on a second. Wouldn't care. Action, he yells. Until the camera operator said, give us 3 seconds, give us 5 seconds to cover me. Because he knew that I was working my butt off there and was watching out for him, he used his authority as a camera person to help me. And he didn't stay framed up either. As soon as he said, give me a couple seconds, he tilts down and makes it look like he's doing something and then brings it back up. You watch after the camera operator and they will watch after you. Now, the first AC is very much the same way. The first AC is on set too, and they used to sit on the dolly and pull focus using either a whip or, dial right on the side of the knob right on the side of the camera. They will now usually remote themselves. They'll either be right off set with a monitor, sometimes with a high pitch fan on it. Sometimes they'll be completely offset and focus pull from the hallway or something. The important thing is to know that they could be another person there's on set. And so when they come in real quick to make a quick camera adjustment, you need to make sure you stay out of their way. Let them make the camera adjustment they need to, change out lenses, do whatever they need to, drop a filter, because it's very important and they're not going to be in your way during the actual scene. And they might be. I've been on shows before. When I worked on Walking Dead, there was one camera operator, nice enough guy, but he was always taking up so much space and walking around, and you couldn't be in certain places. You had to understand him too. I had to befriend him, and he was not an easy person to befriend. But once I got on his good side, he was a little more willing to work with me on certain things, even though he was not going to let me do anything that was going to keep him from doing his job. Now, real quick, the first AC, if they are on set, don't be afraid to ask them if you need an inch or so. And I don't mean like a first AC might say, can you just give me a little bit? This is a very difficult move. And my cine tape is actually picking up the end of your boom pole. And they may ask you for a couple of inches. Well, under most circumstances, I'll say yes. And the reason why is because I want to cash that favor later. And usually in those circumstances, it's very, very quiet on set and I can sacrifice an inch or so. And so if you give that to them, then if you're in a small hallway, they might back up on their monitors another 10 or 15 feet and let you get directly behind camera, or not mind as much if you were between the two cameras when they would normally want to be there, or whatever the case may be. It's nice to bank up those favors. You have somebody's back, they'll have yours, right? Now, it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes there are people that are old school that just don't care, or there's a new person that wants to do a good job and they think by you asking for a favor, you must be inferior. Therefore, they don't want to have anything to do with you. And they're going to tell you no to exercise their authority, whatever the case may be. It's nice to at least have allies on set. And if nothing else, at least do your job and respect them for what they're doing. Now, the camera operator also will sometimes turn into handheld mode, or they will go onto a Steadicam. If that's the case, then you have to keep in mind what they're doing. I've been on sets before where there's been a camera operator that's been handheld, and they will be looking through the viewfinder and not able to see anything over their shoulders. They're not aware of anything, and they could easily run into you if you're trying to sneak up right next to them. So don't be afraid to go out a little bit longer in the pole and go up over top of them if you can. Or come in right from the side, the same axis, and you can still hold the boom right down here, but you're at least giving them a little bit of room. You don't have to crush right next to them and be right on top of them. That can be very annoying, especially if their eye is in a viewfinder and they're trying to maybe find a shot because you're going so fast-paced, trying to get more work in a day that you really need to, or you're losing the light, you're about to lose the location, whatever the case may be, you're having to work with that person and they're closed off in the outside world. If they're at a dolly and they're operating from a monitor and they see that you're coming up right there, they may, nudge you a little bit as they're trying to come over if they don't think you've worked it out, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself on that. My point here is that if the camera operator cannot see you, you need to be aware of them, very much so. Now, Steadicam is another one of these circumstances that you need to pay close attention to, because when a Steadicam operator is looking down or maybe looking way up at a monitor, trying to watch what's in frame, they're trying to not just keep things in the frame that are interesting. They might be trying to keep out this one door that's not dressed and they're backing up. They might be trying to keep out Video Village or the DIT tent because they couldn't move it quick enough or whatever. So if they're doing that, they're not going to be watching for things like reflections and things like boom shadows. They're not going to be wanting you to be in their way. So if you're going through a door and then after that door there's a turn, if there's a place for you to bail, then have your sound utility pick up the boom for either the beginning, the top of the scene, or afterwards if it means crushing too close into the camera operator and maybe making them uncomfortable. I did a backup move on a movie about 10 years ago with Jennifer Love Hewitt. And she was walking through the Georgia World Congress Center, backing up, and we were all crowding onto an escalator really, really fast. And when she was starting to head up, the Steadicam operator had to come back really, really fast onto the escalator. And for whatever reason, this was back in the day before you had LED panels. And so the electricians had to put this one light out there and they had to run a long stinger and have about 4 or 5 electricians that were pulling the cable up as they were going. And unfortunately, because this was going up an escalator, we had a whole bunch of people that had to pile on the escalator behind us. So it wasn't just 1 or 2 of us, like me and a Dolly Grip and the camera operator. There was also about 6 electricians. And because my sound mixer wanted me to go cabled for this particular setup, even though I said I really can't, he didn't have good RF in there. And he said, I really need you to go cabled because I don't have a good signal for this long of a walk and talk in the Georgia World Congress Center. Anyway, so what ended up happening real quick was I backed up. I ran into one of the electricians. The Dolly Grip in front of me ran into me. He instantly pushes me like over out of the way because the camera operator is backing up with the Steadicam. And as soon as that happened and the shot didn't end up working out because everyone was barricaded in there, it wasn't just me. It was actually me running into someone and coming to a stop and the person in front of me, the Dolly Grip, coming into a halt into me. But because I was the person that actually physically stopped camera, they said, the first AD came and said, Alan, you can't be in this. You got to get out of there. There was no negotiations on it. I tried to fight and get back in there. I said, I'll go wireless. I'll go. Didn't matter. That was it. First AD said, no, Alan, you're out. I'm not going to have this happen. You can't be there. They ended up actually doing it a little bit different with the lighting team also. They ended up making it even worse to a certain degree and just have one person down there and then one person up top of the escalator, and they pulled it as opposed to having so many people wrangle along the way. It was a very interesting scene. But the reason I'm mentioning that is that you need to kind of have forethought. We knew it wasn't going to work out the way it was, but they insisted on rolling. And unfortunately, that was one of those things that ended up catching it, and there was no way for me to talk my way out of that, even though I was not the only part of the problem. And if they would have just let us have the rehearsal that we asked for, it would have worked out to begin with. We could have worked it all out, especially since we were backing up so quick. But, that's one of those lessons learned, right? There's nothing better than experience to teach you. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the Dolly Grip, because I did mention that he was the guy that ran into me first. Dolly Grips are there on set, putting down dance floor, putting down dolly track, doing all kinds of different functions right there on the set, taking up usually a lot of space because you're going to have like a big, huge dolly on there. And then that dolly has to move someplace from all the way from one wall all the way to the other one. They're going to probably spin. They're going to have tires that are going to squeak, and they got to realign it, maybe change it. There's going to be a lot of different elements to the dolly that are going to be something that's going to be adjusted on the fly. And if not, and they're going Steadicam, you might need to work with that dolly grip to make sure that as a camera operator comes down the hall, you might say, hey, which side are you going to snug? Are you going to be on the left or the right side? And they may say, which side do you need me to be on? Well, if you could take the left, I'd appreciate it to be on the right. And they'll say, okay, cool, no problem. Just all you need to do is tell me. And that's great. And that's one of those things that really works to your advantage when you have good rapport. Now, one of the things I'll usually do is get off set, but not too far away, because you don't want to just completely leave set and come back in blind. I'll usually just step off set and just watch the process where I'm not in the way of the people that are lighting and the dolly grip while they're putting down dolly track or whatever. If I can just step to the side of the room and I'm out of the way, cool, I'll do that. But if I need to clear set, I'll maybe stand to the side and watch through a window, or I'll just stand just far enough on set until they get all the dolly track in, and then I'll see if I can run in there and stand there to watch them set up the shot. Now, if a dolly grip asked me if I could step aside real quick just while they, run through the marks, by all means, I will certainly work with them there. And it's very important for you to do that, because if you don't, they will get their way regardless, because you got to keep in mind that all it takes is the dolly grip saying, look, I need you to clear. And the dolly grip says, hey, get out of there. Get out of there. What are you doing? The camera operator will tell you to get out of there. If the DP is on set, you can't be in here. I need the set clear. And then next time you try to be in there, they're going to have a problem with you. So I find it very important to keep the dolly grip happy as well. That means that as they move through the marks, they might have a 1 here on this mark, 1, and then a 2 right here and a 3 right there. And there could be a curved movement they do or something. So I will double check and I'll say, hey, real quick, if I stand right here, would I be in your way during that move? No, not there, because I start here and then I move over here and then I come back around there. I think you'll be okay there. Or they might say, if you can just give me another couple inches, that'd be great. Most of the time, you don't have to stand in exactly one little spot there to do your job. There's normally a couple of places, if not more, that you can be. Now, if there's an ideal spot, definitely fight for it. I'm not telling you to just sacrifice and say, okay, fine, you can have your way. I'm telling you, there's different ways of getting the job done. But the main thing I'm telling you is to be diplomatic here and pick your battles, definitely. Because if you tell somebody like a dolly grip, is there a way to make this work? Can you maybe go, a little bit angled? Could you maybe shift around the seat that's not being used? Could you maybe remove your bar? There's going to be a circumstance that's going to catch you. If not, it may be that the dolly's moving through space and it's creaking like crazy. You may say, can you do something about that? And they'll say, oh yeah, I'll put some powder on the ground. Or yeah, bring out the lithium grease. I got to grease this thing up. Whatever the case may be, there is going to be a circumstance where the dolly grip is going to need you to move. And it's better for you to not be in their way when they need to do their job, because the camera operator says, go up, boom up a little bit, go down, go left, or go right, whatever. They need to be able to move fast. And if you are not paying attention because you're too busy on your phone right next to them, or you're too busy chatting your head off to somebody, then you're going to be in their way and you're going to frustrate them. That goes along with the camera operator and the first AC, because they're probably all working on it too. So you got to respect what they're doing. Don't talk nonstop while they're trying to set their shot. Give them that respect. Now, when you're doing things with a crane, you still, they'll be on headsets. There's probably going to be an operator that's, doing the wheels and on a geared head. You're going to have various different other people. One person that's going to be taking the crane up and down, one person that's probably going to be controlling the pickle and maybe the zoom motor, and you're going to have somebody doing something else, and you're going to have all these different people doing different elements of it. And in that case, then, a lot of these guys have to have a clear line of sight to set. So you want to be on set there too. So that way, when you see the guy on the side and he's, pressing the buttons, going to pickle in and out with the dolly, you want to make sure that, not the dolly, the crane, you want to make sure that you're on set and watching set, looking back at them too. And you might even need to double check that if the move gets kind of close, you say, hey, were you able to see past me? And they may say, yeah, I was. Or they may say, yeah, I need you to be on the other side or something, whatever the case may be. In that case, you can fight for it a little bit. But if you have to be on that one side. But here's the thing. There's a lot of people on set that are working with camera, and it's very easy for you to work symbiotically with them, which is very important as a boom operator, working symbiotically. That means working in a way where you're both trying to work with each other for a common goal. Now, again, if you show very early on that you appreciate what they do, they will show you the same kind of respect because you're not making their life more difficult. You're actually considered to be an ally. And here's another interesting thing. Sometimes people don't want you around. If you are not good at your job, sometimes they'll want you gone. And if they're like, I just want this boom operator gone, they may make your life extremely difficult so that you might get fired. They may even say to the DP, I can't do my job. And the DP starts talking about getting rid of you to the producers. And if that's the case, you're gone, because a DP, it can actually have quite a bit of authority, even if you're trying to do your job, unless, the producers really stick up for you. I've seen it happen. It's not ideal. And most of the time it doesn't get to that point because most of the people I usually work with, are professionals and they don't actually, get into a circumstance that bad. But I have heard it happen. However, if you are one of those people that is on set, you're attentive, you're detail-oriented, you're a team player, and you are watching after the sound department too, they're going to want to keep you around. They're going to want to make sure that you don't leave the show. They'll be very upset if you leave the show. If you leave the show early because you have a previous commitment or something. If you're not there because you have a dental appointment, a doctor's appointment, something like that, they're going to say, where is he? Where is she? Where's the boom operator? Oh, this is going to be a rough day or whatever. Because they're actually looking forward to you being there because you make their life easy. You would rather be that person that makes their life easy than the person that they don't want to be on set. That's one of the rules and part of set etiquette is you want to be someone that they don't mind being around for 12 plus hours a day versus someone that they're like, oh, geez, he's here still. All right, find another day on set with them. Now, there are some people on set that I don't like at all just because they make my life very difficult. I don't like their personality. No one likes their personality, but you can't take that out on them. And there's been those people that I kill with kindness because, not just because people don't always want to be mean to the nice person, but also because if you can be nice to them, that says something good about you and your ability to handle stress on set and your ability to still thrive and get through things on set. So it's always cool. It's always a good idea to stay cool on set. You've heard me say this in other videos, especially in the 3BO series. Stay cool, keep your cool, and communicate. It's all about communications on set. And still get your sound.
Have a question you'd like answered or want to add something? Be sure to write it in the comment section down below. You can also make a suggestion for future topics of discussion. Again, comment section down below, or you can email me at soundspeeds@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss out on future sound advice.